Hey, it's Ben Orshak with Realtor with Key Impressions, and I'm with my friend Brandon here. He's going to educate us about title, what it is. You probably don't know what it is because it's not visible like a lender or a realtor, but we're going to peel back the layers and take a closer look.
Ben, thanks for inviting us. Brandon Spain with Allure Title Company. So I'm the founding partner of Allure Title. Started in 2011, had the opportunity to work with a bunch of great realtors like Ben, meet a lot of great families, see dreams come true, and it's just a great thing. So turn it back over to you.
Hey, thank you for that. So what I want to know is we kind of know about the closing aspect. Okay, you know what? I do. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's someone out there who doesn't know about the closing. Walk us through what you do as far as getting to that spot where everybody signs the paperwork.
Sure. So we, as a title company, we really do two things. We have the title insurance policy that we issue, and then we have the closing that we facilitate and get done. And the closing is the part that you're probably familiar with and the part that most people are familiar with. That's where we kind of sit right in the middle between the realtors and the buyers and the sellers and all these people and collect all this data. I think you called it the referee, which is a great example. You guys are referees too.
And sometimes they're taking fire from all sides. So
correct.
They're vital.
So we're in the middle of the transaction, and we help get all these pieces of the puzzle put together, and then we get all the documents together, and then you get to closing day, and people come in and sign all the paperwork, and we get the money from the buyer, and then we give it to the seller. Seller's happy, buyer's happy, they shake hands and they go the wrong way. That's the closing part. That's the
happily ever after.
Correct. That's the easy part of it. The part that's kind of the mystery is the title insurance. And people say, well, what is title insurance and what do I need it for?
Right.
So
they have homeowners insurance.
Yep. So a lot of people kind of think it's similar to homeowners insurance, but it's not. It's a different type of product. It is similar in the fact that homeowners insurance and car insurance, that it's an insurance product and it will indemnify people against a loss. So the indemnification part of it is, Ben, say if you go and you buy a house for $175,000 and you get 3 years down the road, and somebody shows up at your door and says, hey, this was my mom and dad's house, they passed away, my brother and sister got together and sold it, and I didn't know anything about it, I didn't sign away anything, you're going to have a problem. So they still have a legal right to that house if it wasn't all cleared out through probate. So if that were to happen to you.
No, hold on, let me interrupt. So theoretically, or not theoretically, somebody who bought their house, right, got the everything, somebody could show up and then they lose their house?
Yes, that is correct. So it's a long legal process you would have to go through.
That's crazy.
Percentage chance of that happening is not great.
Okay.
It's not probable, but it's not impossible.
Okay. So you've seen it happen though in your line of work.
Correct. You can read case studies about it. And we're lucky in Pensacola. We have a bunch of great title companies here, and we do a great job doing search to make sure that doesn't happen. But you can run into these issues to where it's impossible to know that a estranged sibling was sitting out there that had rights to the property and nobody knew about it.
Right.
So they can come back through the legal system and work through to either get some type of compensation and or the property. So it's not probable, but it's not impossible either. And if that were to happen, that's what you get title insurance for. If that person shows up on your doorstep, we'll cover your investment in the property.
Is title insurance, is that the primary reason, or is there other reasons to do title insurance?
There's a ton of other issues that you would want title insurance for. So, another really common example is, say if you're buying a property in HOA, right? And you move in, and the month after you move in, you get a letter in the mail saying, hey, the prior owner never paid the HOA dues. And there's a lien out there for $10,000. If that lien was filed and came in priority before your deed, they would have a right to foreclose out your house to collect that. Now, if you have title insurance, part before we issue title insurance policy is to go through that process, make sure that none of that stuff exists.
Right.
Then we issue your title insurance. Where we see issues a lot is where someone sold somebody else they know a house and they didn't do any of their research or diligence to make sure that stuff was cleaned up, and then a month later, they get this HOA bill for $7,000.
Right, and I would imagine that say, community, they changed who manages the HOA. Sometimes stuff falls through the cracks on that as well.
Correct. Yeah, and that's a great point. So what we get from the HOA is what's called an estoppel.
Okay.
So we go to the HOA and get them to issue an estoppel letter saying that, yes, this is the absolute amount that's owed, and we will forever hold you harmless going forward. That once you pay this amount, everything prior is clear.
Okay. All right. So basically that, for me, I have insurance on my car. I have homeowners insurance, for covering for fire and things like that. Your house is probably one of the biggest investments that you're going to make. Certainly, you're going to be, a lot's on the line. And how expensive? How much is the cost for title insurance?
Yeah, so title insurance is the cheapest insurance product that you're going to buy of any asset based upon the dollar amount that you own. And you only pay for it once. So we're like homeowners insurance.
So no monthly?
No monthly.
Okay.
You pay for it at the time of closing on the property. And I would say the average cost in our area is probably about $1,300 to $1,400.
Okay.
So that's a one-time expense that covers you forever. If you own that home for 80 years, you're covered for 80 years. You never have to re-up it. There's never an insurance increase 5 years down the road. There's none of that stuff.
Okay.
Once you pay for it and you purchase it and you get a copy of your policy, you're done. So from that point forward, we, as a title insurance company, say if there's ever an issue that comes up from the date you purchase that property back, we got you covered.
That's awesome. Could it even cover a person after they've sold the house, or how is that?
You get into some future indemnity clauses. So
Okay.
if you have title insurance on your home and you sold it, right? So let's say if you bought a house and you sold it to somebody else, and that person that bought it sold it to somebody else, and they came back and said, hey, there's let's use the HOA dues example again. Hey, there was 5 years of past HOA dues. We're going to file a lien against the property. So they're going to go back and try to collect from the prior owners, right?
Right.
So if you had title insurance when you bought that house and we said, hey, you're clean, there was no prior dues, it would cover that period for your duration of your ownership.
That's good to know. So I like that. It's something, and I learned something there. It's something that can cover you from before you own the house to even after you've sold it. I hope this has been informational. I hope you've learned something. I know I've learned something. And I want to thank you for coming out and doing this video.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.